There's a common rhetoric that is used by members of the NRA that says, firearms are the only reason that people sleep soundly in their beds at night. And this is rhetoric that has been invoked by people like Wayne LaPierre, as well as Dana Loesch. And what exactly is that rhetoric? Well, people sleep peacefully in their beds because rough men stand ready to do violence on their behalf. Now, this quote has been falsely attributed to two different men. The first person that this is falsely attributed to is none other than Winston Churchill, who supposedly said it to a bunch of spring breakers over tacos and pumpkin spice lattes. And another claim falsely says it's George Orwell who actually said this quote, a quote he obviously said while he was gearing up to audition for the role of Daddy Warbucks in Annie. So if it was neither Churchill nor Orwell who actually said this, where did this quote even come from? Well, that would be from this guy. Let's call him Richard Grenier. Now, Richard was a film critic with the Washington Times, and he made the claim that Orwell made this quote. And in the essay where he makes this claim, he is just paraphrasing what he thought Orwell was saying. But regardless of the origin of the quote, this creates an interesting question. Is the presence of firearms associated with sleep? Because getting enough sleep is associated with all kinds of positive health outcomes, like better grades in school, being more productive at work, and just having better health overall. Sleep is even linked to our lifespans. If we don't get enough sleep, then our bodies don't recharge and reset, and more importantly, it doesn't get rid of all the clutter that kind of fills it up. And like a computer, that clutter will just slow things down. And if you don't reset your computer at that point and clear the cache, it will stop working entirely. And since earlier research had shown that gun owners have less fear than non-gun owners, it only makes sense that guns would be associated with better sleep. After all, those researchers showed that guns kind of work like a security blanket, so they mitigate fear, so therefore, people with guns should sleep better at night. And fear is closely associated with the quality of sleep that a person gets. A person who is more afraid is more anxious, and the more anxious you are, the less likely you're getting good quality sleep. Put another way, do gun owners sleep at night like a baby, while non-gun owners are constantly having their sleep interrupted because they hear noises or they're afraid someone's trying to break into their home? And what we found is that gun ownership is not associated with sleep quality. People with and without had about the same amount of sleep. But we did get some interesting findings related to guns, sleep, and neighborhood context. So that led us to yet another project looking at how guns and sleep correlate with each other. So again, we looked at whether or not people were sleeping uninterrupted through the night and getting good quality sleep, but we also added in a few other measures. We also wanted to know things related to the neighborhoods that the individuals lived in. Now, we call those measures the community stressors. And in addition to those measures, we also want to know, had those community stressors gotten worse since the pandemic? And lastly, does the individual keep their firearm in their bedroom? So our community stressors are comprised of three metrics. Let's look at them. The first was, how clean is your neighborhood? The second was, how loud is it? Is it really noisy where you live? And third, how safe is your neighborhood? Is there a lot of crime? And like before, there's no difference between gun owners and non-gun owners when it comes to their sleep quality, even after we factored in neighborhoods. And that doesn't change with the pandemic, but we did get one interesting note. We are the first to show how many Americans sleep with a gun in their bedroom at night, and we find that roughly 28% of American gun owners do so. And there are plenty of reasons that show that that is not a good idea, especially when those weapons are not kept locked up in a safe. There are news story after news story of why it's a bad idea, especially when their weapons are kept under pillows. Now, I'm not going to talk about any of those here because they're kind of horrific and they really get to me, but you can go look those up yourself. But I want to point out one important note here. Whatever benefit that guns provide when it comes to mitigating fear, that doesn't translate to other aspects of their lives, specifically, in this case, sleep. We showed in 2 studies that guns do not impact the quality of sleep that a person gets. Thoughts?